Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and today I am going to be looking through, well, I've looked through my books already, but I'm going to tell you about some of the books that I think I will give 5 stars. And I've looked at my shelves. I've now moved in, well, I haven't moved in, Hannah from Letter M has moved in and brought in a load of her books, so I've had a quick little peruse of those as well, the ones that I might enjoy. So, without further ado, let's just get started. So, starting off, I really enjoyed everything that this author has written before, and actually it's just a shame that he's an issue. I haven't read anything from the second author that wrote this, other than Illuminae. So I think the first book I'm going to give 5 stars to is Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jerry Christoph. Now, I loved Illuminae so much. Like, it was ridiculous. That whole series actually was fantastic. So obviously I knew these were coming out, and it's been out for ages now, and I just haven't really got to picking them up. I'm not really sure why, I just haven't, but it's another sci-fi adventure, and they're going to be, like, the 2 main characters, I'm guessing, will be on the same mission, maybe, but I really loved the sci-fi that I've read before by these 2, so I'm pretty confident that I will enjoy this one. So that is the first book that I think I will give 5 stars to. This next one, I don't really know much about it, other than it's really weird. And I really like weird books, so I loved Bunny so much. And this one, all I know is it's weird, and it's kind of got mushrooms in it. And it's a horror, and that is The Holo Places by The Holo Places by T. Kingfisher. And this is, I hardly know what it's about. I think it's a gothic horror, but I believe it's like a dystopia thingy as well. And it's like mushrooms that make you kind of hallucinate. You see all these things happening. I saw it on Drinking by My Shelves video, where she read books about mushrooms, and it's actually where I first really got interested in reading Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, because that's also mushroom based. And I saw this one, and the cover is amazing. Like, I love that it's this scene of a mushroom that looks like a skull with, you know, butterflies and kind of things, it just looks so interesting. Gothic horror with mushrooms, fun romp, fun ride. Yeah, I think I'm gonna really like this one. Next up is a urban fantasy that I am planning to read this month, and it's been everywhere on BookTube recently, and that is Jade City by Fonda Lee. And this is a political urban fantasy where Jade is what makes you powerful and gives you, I think, extra abilities, and it's about, like, who holds the jade holds the power. I think. I could be very wrong. But it's kind of been everywhere recently. I wasn't planning on reading this, to be honest, but the more I've heard people talk about it, the more intrigued I am. Immediately it gave me, weirdly, Wizard of Oz vibes. I think that's because of the Emerald City, and, you know, Emerald and Jade are different gemstones, I'm aware, but it's kind of the same similar vibe. But obviously this looks like it's going to be an intense political drama. I know it's made people cry. Not this one. I think Jade Legacy, which is the 3rd one because it's a trilogy, does, but I have not read any of them, so I think this is going to be everything I love. I love a political fantasy. I'm more into high fantasy than I am urban, but this one looks pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I think I'll give it 5 stars. The next one on this list is another sci-fi. This one's high sci-fi though, and I was a little bit hesitant putting this on the list, but I actually do think I'm going to enjoy it. And that is The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. And this is the first one, The Eye of the World. Now, this series is really long, and also this book is insane. But I do think I'm going to enjoy it. I think it's going to be wild. And obviously Robert Jordan, he passed away, I can't remember when, but Brandon Sanderson then took up the mantle of completing and continuing the Wheel of Time series. And essentially, my boss wanted me to pick this up. She was like, no, you need to read it. And I think it's so that I can read it first and see if it's any good and tell her she should read it. But I do think I will enjoy this. Again, massive. I have no idea what it's about. I think it's high sci-fi, so it'll be like weird creatures, weird deserts. I mean, I could be completely wrong. So we're kind of getting more into, well, this is the first one that I am borrowing, and I really am excited to read it, and that is Horrid by Katrina Lino. And I have heard so much about this book. It's gothic horror. I'm so wanting to read this, and I don't know anything about it, but this cover is so creepy and weird, and I think it's going to be a ride. I know loads of people really enjoyed it. Creepy, weird, gothic horror. I'm probably going to love it. Next up we have Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I think I'm going to love this series once I actually start getting into it. This is Brandon Sanderson's sci-fi series, so I've loved his Way of Kings series, and this is the other one that I have on my list to read. I think it's going to be incredible. I love Brandon Sanderson's way of writing. I'm just now really properly getting into sci-fi, whereas before I was very much just fantasy, and that was it. But I think this one's going to be great. I know that it's set on like a spaceship, I believe, anyway. It basically follows a girl whose world has been like overrun by monsters, and she wants to be a hero, and she's always dreamt of being one of those that kind of goes up to space and, you know, looks at the planets and becomes a hero. And I'm really excited. Also, this cover is just so pretty. It's so shiny, and it's like a painting. And yeah, that is kind of why I picked it up to begin with, but also I really want to read it. Another kind of recent addition to my TBR and to my shelves is The Desert Prince by Peter V. Brett. Now this one is massive again, and this is high fantasy, epic fantasy. And this follows two characters who are both on their own destinies, on their own paths. And it's kind of like far back in the past, this world managed to kind of get rid of all their demons, all their monsters. And it follows the son of the man who did this and a princess. And both of them are kind of like, absolutely not. And then I think they unearth something together that shouldn't have been unearthed. And demons have returned, and it's like, they need to get rid of them. And again, I think because this will have political intrigue, I think there's going to be like a massive war. I think there's like going to be a fight for survival. I'm really excited. Again, this cover is so eye-catching, and like the book itself is bright yellow, which I absolutely love. So that's always going to help that it's pretty. It's huge. Apparently I like a big book, and I cannot lie. Maybe? I'll get my coat. But this is definitely a 5-star prediction for sure. This one is another sci-fi, and I've heard mixed reviews, but I still think it's going to be a 5-star, and that is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Poloni. I really loved the Aragon series, or Aragon, however you want to say it, and obviously Poloni was a teenager when he wrote those, so I'm sure his writing has evolved through time, as it does with every writer. But I'm really intrigued to see his adult sci-fi. And I was going to read this a little while ago, and it was just the wrong time for me to pick it up. I'm still very new to sci-fi, but as you probably can tell, there's a lot more sci-fi on this list than probably there would have been if I did this video a few years ago. But this is like a bit of a weird kind of like, I believe it's like dream-based sci-fi, which is so cool. I know it follows a girl. So this follows Kira, and it's a first contact novel, and she like unearths this really strange alien artifact, and it kind of blows up in her face, and she's suddenly part of this massive galactic war that she didn't ask to be a part of. And that just sounds so cool, and I think it's probably very much going to be this artifact puts her into a coma, and it'll be that kind of sci-fi. But I think it's going to be so freaking cool, and again, this cover, stunning anyway. So these last two books are books I have indeed borrowed from Hannah. Again, thank you very much. But this is In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland, and this is pansexual vampires. I don't think I need to say anything more. It's pansexual vampires. I love a good vampire book. I love a good vampire book. And this one, I think, just sounds fab and fun and groovy. And again, this cover is so cool with the skull in like flowers, and she's just in the middle like, yeah, what about it? So yeah, that is it's pansexual vampires. That's what's going to make me read it, and I think it's going to be a 5-star read. Again, not super long. Definitely want to get to it ASAP. So the last book I think I'm going to give 5 stars to is Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. This one I know is really just slow. It's gothic. I don't know anything about it. I just know it's a bit weird and it's slow. And I want to read it so bad. It's kind of unbelievable how much I want to read it, and yeah, from what I've heard, it's so good. But I think because I'm prepared for it to be slow, and I'm prepared for the story to kind of take a while to get there, I think it'll be fine. I am genuinely so in love with weird ass stories. The weirder, the better. And yeah, I didn't get a copy of this because Danny has a copy of it too, and it was kind of a bit silly having so many editions of the same book in the same house. However, if I like it, of course I'll be getting a copy, because I like to have copies of books that I really enjoyed. And there we have it. That is 10 books I think I'm going to give 5 stars to. If you have given me 5 stars to any of these books, please let me know down below. And give me and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.